Hello again. I'm here with another book review. This one is for Devil in Ohio by Daria Polatin. I guess is how you say her name or his name. Um, Let me read the little blurb here. It has a little pentagram in the beginning here, and it says, "Evil comes in many forms. When 15-year-old Jules Mathis comes home from school to find a strange girl sitting in her kitchen, her psychiatrist mother reveals that May is one of her patients at the hospital and will be staying with her family for a few days. But soon May is wearing Jules' clothes, sleeping in her bedroom, edging her out of her position on the school paper, and flirting with Jules' crush. And May has no intention of leaving. Then things get weird. Jules walks in on a half-dressed May, starting to see a pentagram carved into May's back. Jules begins to piece together who May really is and where she's from, only to discover that May's family will stop at nothing to get her back. Okay. Now, I went into this book with an interesting, okay, let me read this nice fictional book about a woman who was part of a cult, basically. But then something that I read in the very beginning of the book kind of changed my mind about this book. Something in the beginning of the book and the end of the book. An author's note in the beginning of the book. I'm going to read the author's note at the beginning of this book, which is right here. It says, "This book is based on a true story. Not my story, but someone's. What matters is that most of it actually happened. Just be glad it didn't happen to you." And then in her acknowledgments at the end of the book, she writes, "First and foremost, thank you to the woman who shared her life experience with me, on whom this book is based. Thank you for letting me tell your story." Okay. That changed my opinion of this book. This book, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. Because even reading the synopsis, you can see there's a lot of tropes, a lot of 90s TV tropes that's in here. As far as, she's wearing Jules' clothes, she's flirting with Jules' crush. There's a point, where, she's edging around in the school paper. It's very 90s teen angst type of story between the two sisters. What basically happens in this story is there's a girl who gets pushed out of a moving car, truck, something like that. She gets sent to the hospital. They find that she has this pentagram in her back, and they believe she was escaping from a cult. And the psychiatrist, takes this character in May, and you find out that this cult is part of a town. That there's a whole devil town, and everybody seems to know this is the devil town where this cult is. And they never could pin anything on this cult. And the psychiatrist is trying to basically protect May. And again, there's weird stuff between the two sisters, and May trying to acclimate from a very closed, isolated kind of grown up system where she grew up to like the real world. And in the back of my mind, reading that little blurb about how much of this is true and how much of this is not true, really kind of made it more interesting to me. Now, I don't know if I was Blair Witch on this thing, how much of this is actually true, how much of this was just a way to sell the book more. I couldn't find any devil town in Ohio. I couldn't really find any story. In fact, there actually is one part of the book at the very end of the book that, unless you know this, which I didn't, you're going to have to look it up to figure out what the ending actually means. You're going to have to go online and look it up to figure out what the ending means. So you still have to go online to really enjoy the ending of this book. But for me, just knowing that even if part of what this girl went through is even remotely real, it's an interesting read. It's a read that I would definitely have to recommend. Yes, the characterizations are kind of weak. Yes, they except to me, the only person actually who kind of has a real story arc in this is the mother, weirdly enough. But Um, it's just that you keep thinking what's real, what's not, and the actual devil part of the stuff is actually the interesting part of the story. The interactions between her and the classmates, and that gets a little teen angsty. But the actual cult and describing the way the cult is and how they function, that's really interesting. That's actually the interesting part of the book. So that's my review for Devil in Ohio. This is a first time writer, so maybe I would be interested to see what this writer does with another story. But yeah, that's my review. I kind of enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend people reading it. Don't expect deep characterizations, but just go in there, enjoying it, and realize, hey, what if this is true? How much of this is true? And you get more interest. I think you get a more interested read out of this. So that's my review. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon.